We're back, folks. We're back. We're still here at the training station, the magnificent Orland Fire Protection District training facility, and we have just saved a life. And what we've done is we've come over to the control room to get an idea how they control everything in the facility, and basically it's done right here. Through basically with this equipment, and they control, and Mark's going to explain all about this. They control what happens to the dummies, I guess, that are out there, and other things that happen in the facility. So Mark, you want to explain a little bit about how this all comes together?
Okay, so we have a number of ALS Simulator mannequins, and they are linked to this computer system. So we can give our mannequins a blood pressure. We can make them breathe. We can speak through their voice amplifier from in here, so the paramedics can actually get feedback that's a live voice. There's a number of recorded things too, but we can basically we can put them through a whole medical situation through this simulation, and then we can record it. And then we can review it, which is really important for you to go back and look at what you've done. And a lot of times our paramedics, they'll do their own critique. They know what things they could work on that they could do better, and there's always room for improvement. So there's always some takeaway.
So by having it where you can program and simulate the test dummies, whatever, you can replicate so many different situations that your firefighters are going and paramedics are going to confront.
That's correct. So we have a number of rooms here, and the one on the right here is our nursery area, and fortunately these are low event situations. We don't want to have a call for babies or children, but it does happen. So we can create a situation in our nursery with an infant, again, so that they can be familiar with this type of a medical event before it really happens. It lends to your skill set and comfort level when you walk into stressful situations. So, and then on this other, we have two setups here. This one is actually showing the patient that you helped to save.
That we just saved.
And one of the things I like to stress is we've worked on a cardiac arrest patient for up to an hour on the scene, which is unusual for people to see, because normally they're thinking the ambulance comes, we throw them on the cot, we go to the hospital, and everything's better. But in these situations, it's really important that we stay where we are. We can do all of the we can do everything the hospital can do. Of course, we don't have a room to admit you to, but we're going to stay and work on the scene until we know we've done everything we can, and then we're going to transport. Specifically for cardiac arrest calls, there are other emergencies that we want to get to the ambulance and go. This particular one, we want to stay and work where we're at.
That's why I don't know if we stressed it before that 99, I think you mentioned 99, virtually everyone on the force or every firefighter is a paramedic. So everyone is trained to the point that they can save lives.
Yes, we have the majority of our paramedics are firefighters, our paramedics, to 99%. Yeah. The EMTs that we have, the basics, also have important skills to do, and we get them involved equally. Yeah. But yes, everybody's paramedic.
Everyone's a paramedic, and it's so important. So folks, that you don't always know that, but these guys are doctors. They're your first line of defense before you get to the hospital. They're going to get you there. If they don't get you there, nobody may get you there. So that's why it's so important, and we got to keep stressing this, that it's so important if you can get it across to people to learn CPR. You've got help, so they're not panicking when you walk in, and you can actually have somebody. And you can't get there like that. Sometimes it's going to take you a few minutes to get there at least, and so you can talk people, if they have some experience at CPR, that could be the difference between saving a life and not saving a life.
Absolutely. Our dispatchers, even if you have never learned CPR, our dispatchers are trained to recognize a situation and to give direction and guidance for that person on the other end of the phone so they can do CPR. I just want to say, I'm not the chief, and we're not doctors. We're paramedics. Yes. We work under a doctor's license.
Yes.
Certainly, but yeah, we take pride in what we do, and we work hard at it.
And I think, people, if I can get anything across at this situation, in this show, is that when you think of firefighters, when you think of the fire protection district, so many times people think of just, you got the hat on and the coat, and you're fighting a fire, but I think the majority of the calls you go on are really saving lives, not saving them from a burning fire, but saving them from a cardiac arrest and some other things that may happen.
Yeah, we like to think, because we do a lot of emergency medical services here, we have those opportunities to recognize an event. Could be a heart attack that we can find with our cardiac monitors and do a 12 lead. We can send that ahead to the hospital so they can assemble their team and get that patient to the cardiac cath lab as soon as they come through the door. Similar with somebody that may have suffered a stroke, we can identify the symptoms that the patient's having and get them to the appropriate hospital so they can get the treatments that they need so they can return to some kind of a productive life afterwards.
And one thing I think is important too, if people will know that they can, if you have someone in your household that has a medical condition that very well may be triggered at any point and need to call the paramedics, that they should register that with the fire department. So when they call 911, immediately you have an idea, you've got a much better idea, and you're able to diagnose much quicker.
Yeah, that's a good point. We have a system in place that residents can fill out some paperwork, come into the fire district, and if they have a chronic or a special medical condition, we can put that in our dispatch notes. So if we get a 911 call to that address, we have a computer-aided dispatch system, and the paramedics then can reference those notes en route, and they'll know that they'll get a little heads up on what they may be encountering. So they can prepare for that. It's important to have a little front knowledge of what you're doing.
Yes, very good. So hopefully everyone watching out there, take as much initiative as you can. We talked about Homeland Security and really going on the site. Spend some time on the Orland Park Orland Fire Protection District site. It is a wealth of information. They have the reports on there going back to 2007. I don't think you need to go back and read the 2007 report, but read the 2014, read the 2015 report, read so much of what they do and so many of the suggestions. It helps to make it a better community, a safer community, and it's an overall, I think it upgrades our living experience here in the community of Orland Park. So anything else you want to tell us about the control room that we may have missed?
I think we covered a lot.
Yeah.
And a medical emergency can be a medical event. It can be trauma related. It can be any number of things, and we try and prepare for all of those.
Very good.
So we're not just one-dimensional. We try and cover all of it.
Okay, well, Lieutenant Mark Duke has been a real big help with us in all of these areas. So, Mark, we want to thank you for everything you've done today. I don't know if we'll see you as we travel around here, but we really do want to thank you for being part of the fabric of the community as part of the Orland Fire Protection District. Thank you.
Dan. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be right back, folks, with a little more of the Orland Fire Protection District training facility. Thank you. We're back, and we've got something special. I guess it's brand new. We're back here with Lieutenant Dave Piper. Did I get it right?
You did.
Okay, thank you, Dave. We're back here with Lieutenant Piper, and he's going to explain to us. These look like very large birdhouses, but they're much more important. And you can explain to us what this is on the cut. They don't look high tech, but it's cutting edge technology here.
This is a training prop that was built by our people to train all of our firefighters on the new ventilation limited fire. It was developed and studied by Underwriters Laboratory right up north in Northbrook. And what we can do in here is replicate fires based on the construction of buildings that we have in our area. So as we build fires, we're going to build fires in these, and then we're going to use these doors to move the smoke throughout the building. And then we'll be able to teach our firefighters how opening certain doors or windows is going to affect how the fire grows or it doesn't grow, and where we need to apply water to stop that growth from happening. And we'll be able to do that in kind of a real situation in a safe environment, so that we can take the lessons that we're going to learn using these props and apply them to buildings and unfortunately when someone has a fire within our community.
Yep. So this is brand new. You just built. These were just built.
We just built these right now. We built one for each shift, so that we'll be able to do that and bring all of our people out here and train them on how the smoke is going to move, how ventilation is going to do that, and the buildings and products of combustion are going to affect how we fight fires today.
So this shows that, like Underwriting Laboratories, they're doing so many different things, and it shows that you guys are always looking for the latest invention, or whatever we want to call it, to technology, to anything you can get that's going to only make it better and easier, or easier to train, or more productive.
Our goal here at Orland Fire Protection District, is directed by our Board of Trustees and the Chief, is to provide the greatest ability to train our people that we have. And what we try to do is that we want to have relevant, referenced, repeatable training to maintain a high level of proficiency of all of our people, regardless of what that emergency is. Right now you've just saw the EMS portion. Now we're starting to go into the hands-on and the fire stuff. When we get out into the training ground, whether it's special rescue, vehicle extrication, public education, fire alarms, whatever we can do to maintain the highest level of proficiency, because we want our people to be prepared when they go out on the street and someone calls 911 having their worst day, is that we've done that over and over and over again and developed the muscle memory of all of our people to handle that with a cool head, do the best practices as we get into to do that. That's what we're going to try to accomplish.
Very good. Well, folks, I think the lesson there is, this is not your father's or your grandfather's fire department. This is one that keeps evolving and it is never going to sleep, in terms of never going to not be out looking for ways to help prevent losing lives, be it fire, be it cardiac arrest, whatever medical emergency there is. So we want to thank you, Lieutenant Piper. Thanks very much. Now we're going to move on upstairs and see what holds us at our next adventure. We're upstairs now. Lieutenant Piper, who's in charge of all training here, has brought us up to Command Training Center. I try to make it sound a little more official with Central, but it's the Command Training Center. So explain to us what happens up here and what goes on here at Command Training Center.
The Command Training Center is a center to use simulation training, to train all of our lieutenants and firefighters to make good critical decisions in the heat of battle while being in a safe environment. And that starts with our dispatch training center here that we have behind us, so that when we talk about downstairs about our dispatchers being able to explain cardiac arrest to somebody and teach them how to do that portion, it all starts with somebody picking up the phone and calling 911. This training center now allows us to have them pick up a phone, and they can do all the things that we want them to do in a dispatch environment to get our firefighter paramedics out to whatever emergency it's going to be. And now we can put them into those situations here in the training center, so that the first time that they experience that is not when you pick up the phone and call 911.
So you train them here. You've got certain things you're training on the board, and then they'll take calls. They'll take live calls.
They'll take calls here that we will that we will simulate them, and then dispatch our companies to, which we're going to walk out into our command training center, so that we have computerized simulations that are simulate our people of different emergencies, whether it be fires or natural disasters, and we'll kind of show you what each company does when we go out into the command training center.
As get as real life as possible.
Yeah. As real as possible to make that critical decision on a regular basis here, so that when they get out on the street, they're extremely proficient at making those same decisions.
So when you go out in the field, it's not your first rodeo.
Absolutely. You want them to be proficient at making those decisions here and make those mistakes and learn to do it better here, so that when we go out on the street, we operate at a very high level.
Very good. So let's anything else in here? Or do we want to go out to the command, or we've got over here?
If we walk over here,
let's
this
go
is
over
the
here.
control panel. As we were downstairs in the EMS portion, to control all of that same thing happens here. So we put one of our instructors is going to be here and is going to run all the computer simulations that you're going to see out here. So we can control that and move things around here to change what decisions those people are going to have to make inside our command training center.
And you've got this more technology than NASA has. I feel like I'm at command center down in Florida.
Well, I think one of the things that we got to remember is that the simulation training is now just coming into the fire service. The aviation departments and the military have been using simulation training for years. It just hasn't been available to the fire service at a financial ability for us to do until recently. So now we talk about landing the plane in the Hudson. How many times did that pilot land the plane in the Hudson? One time.
One time, yes.
How many times did he do it in simulation?
Yeah.
So that's what we want to be able to do, is so that when we put these buildings and burning buildings and our officers and chief officers in a position to make decisions, we want them to do it over and over and over again. So that, God forbid, we have an emergency out on the street, they can make those same decisions. It's just like they've been doing it in the simulator. They've done it so many times, it's muscle memory, and they operate at a very high level.
Very good. It's just amazing what you do. I'm telling you, I did not envision this much technology being here, but it makes, I think it should make everyone out there, everybody in the community, feel a little safer, knowing that you're on the so-called cutting edge and you're doing these things. You've got companies with the laboratory. What was it called?
Underwriters Laboratory.
Underwriters Laboratory, which has done so many things over the years to make our lives better. It's making it safer to fight fires. So many things that have happened behind the scenes that we just don't know about. That it's good that we're showing some of this, and I think it gives everybody an appreciation of what the fire department does, what the fire protection district does. So where's our next stop, Dave?
Our next stop is actually into the simulator itself. We'll show you how we simulate fires and how we will make those decisions.
Okay.
Maybe we'll make you the commander and you can make a few decisions.
We'll be in a little trouble then, folks, but we'll be right back, and we'll be in the other part of Command Central. Orland Park, we're back, and it's getting more exciting than ever. We're in the Command Training Center, deep in the training area where it really simulates action, where it simulates arriving at the fire, being dispatched. So Lieutenant Piper is going to start us on our journey, and take it away.
All right, this is where we would start. Our dispatcher, somebody picked up the phone, called in that we have a fire at whatever address that we built. So at this portion, we have a fire at 9023 West Hunter Drive. They would dispatch her and give all the directions to whoever was calling that portion. It would automatically start. As they start to arrive on the scene, the first in engine company is like he's pulling up to the building. So whatever the smoke conditions, fire conditions, traffic, all of those things can be replicated into this total immersion type of simulation environment. You notice the lights and that kind of stuff. We can flash the lights, we can have sirens, we can have all that kind of stuff. And in this situation, our engine right now is pulling up on the scene of the fire. We're expecting them to give a whole size up. So we've trained them on what size up, what information that we need, what his instructions are going to be to his firefighters, and then ultimately what the instructions are going to be to the next arriving companies. We also have the portions that we'll get into this is where he wants to give his size up. So we would have a student or one of our people on the radio giving the actual size up. All the other kiosks that you see here are different vehicles that are arriving.
So if it's a 2-alarm, 3-alarm, 4-alarm, whatever, and so they're different trucks pulling up, and so that's what you're simulating here.
That's what we're seeing here. So right now, he's given a follow-up report. He can see that he's got a fire in the alpha side on the second floor communicating to the third. We would expect him to give certain assignments to his company and the next arriving company to mitigate this emergency.
Very good. So then we're here, you're simulating the fire. Where do we go from here?
At this point, we would go back over to this one. This is simulating the first truck, and we'll walk over here. And so now the engine was the first one that we did over there. Now this is the same building that the truck now is coming up. Now what does he want that engine company to do? One of the assignments here is go to the alpha side, and hey, he's gonna go help the engine company, or we need him to go to the roof and do some ventilation depending on what that's gonna be. We're gonna have him go to the alpha side. If we're gonna go in and do that search. So right now, the assignment that the first in company is going to give them is to come up and help extinguish the fire, do a primary search of the apartments affected on that fire floor. Obviously, our first priority is life safety. We'd like to rescue as many people as humanly possible to get them out, and the people that are in the most danger are obviously the people that are in the fire apartment or the adjacent apartments on fire. And we'll just go to that fire department. So now this is what they would see. This is kind of one of those things. As they go on air, they're in their breathing apparatus, they can't really see. They have to make some good tactical and critical decisions based on what that's going to be. Hey, we're going to go and collect the fire department. This is what typically we would see if the apartment's on fire. We're not going to be able to see a lot. Smoke conditions are going to be bad. It's going to be, the heat conditions are going to be elevated. So we're expecting these people and our officers to make good decisions based on a limited amount of information, and then constantly collect that information and change their decisions based on what information they receive.
Very good. So now they're there. They're at the scene.
Yep.
So then now where do we go from here?
Now we would go back as the companies are coming in. We're in this one, we got 2 engines, 2 trucks, and an ambulance, and now we have the battalion chief showing up. So right now the first couple companies are the engines and trucks have started to make their assignments. Now one of our battalion chiefs will arrive on the scene, and he has to take the information that he heard on the radio from the first arriving companies and make decisions for the rest of the companies that he's going to have.
Got it. Okay, well, then, so do we proceed into the
We're going to take a walk over here to the battalion chief buggy, and we'll be able to give you the view of what they're going to see, the battalion chief would see in our simulations.
Very good. We'll be right back in the, what do we call that room? The simulator room?
The command training center.
We're in the command training center. We're going in the room with the Ford. We've got the Ford, I think it's an Expedition. So we'll head into that room right now, folks. And we're back. We're in the simulator room. I guess we're in the simulator SUV, the chief's SUV. We're pulling up to the fire, and it simulates it. We have a screen right in front of us that gives an idea of what's going on. So, Lieutenant, what do we have when we're pulling up here?
Well, right now, the first engine, as we saw, and the first truck pulled up, and they made some tactical decisions to put out the fire and to get an all clear or get all the victims out of the fire building. Our battalion chiefs now are arriving on the scene. It's their job to evaluate what they see based on what the first engines and the first trucks have done, and now coordinate that fire attack to make sure that all the victims are rescued safely and the fire is put out, protecting as much property as we can. And this is being able to simulate that so that he can make those decisions based on information he received from the other companies.
And what's so amazing is all of this, folks, has to be done. These are split-second decisions. They have to be well-informed, but they're split-second decisions. So what, as they progress through it and as you simulate here, what's the ultimate goal?
the ultimate goal is that they become proficient in making those decisions. Obviously, we don't have a large apartment fire or a large incident every day, but we train every day so that we're prepared for all of those incidents that are going to happen. And as we continue through this, we would take it to the next step if we were actually doing a class, is that we would bring in our command van and we would now move you from here down to the command van. And what we're trying to train is that from the very first engine pulling up in an emergency to where we transfer that portion to the battalion chief, or if the incident continues to escalate downstairs in the command van, or goes on farther to the Emergency Operations Center, the EOC, is that our people are trained to handle those types of emergencies every single day, even though that we don't necessarily respond to them every day.
Very good. So we've made the full circle here. We're now pulling up, and are going to evaluate and make the critical decisions that it takes to save lives and save property. So, Lieutenant, is that have we come to the culmination of this exercise?
I think we've come to the culmination of this exercise for our people. We've done over 1,000 incident commanders from around the surrounding areas, from all over the United States. Furthest east we have was Afghanistan. We had one of the Army sergeants that was stationed over there in a fire department come over here for training all the way to California. We were awarded a grant to train 44 of the area departments, 10 officers from each department, so that our goal is that when we have an emergency, when we bring people into that portion, we're elevating the level of training for not only Orland Park personnel, but all the people that will assist us around us coming into these incidents, so that it's seamless.
You're doing some great work, and you have to be commended. We want to thank you for giving us this tour. I think we're going to move outside next. Are we moving outside next?
We are moving outside.
We're moving outside, but it's great being in here. We want to thank you for everything you've done thus far, and we'll be back very soon. We'll be right back here on Orland Park TV. We've been through a lot today. We've talked about the history of the Orland Fire Protection District dating all the way back to 1894. We've talked about all of the great things that the strides that have been made in protection of the community through technology, and really just through a lot of hard work and really putting together a lot of great training, because you can have all the technology in the world, but if you don't have great people like those here with Lieutenant Mark Duke, Lieutenant Dave Piper, I'm bad with names. And of course, Chief Mike Schofield. We really want to thank you guys for having us out here today, because I think it's really important that the community knows everything that you guys do. And as you see, we walk through here, and you'll see it. We're gonna some of the film that we show. So much of it, you guys have done so much simulation. I mean, the trouble that you got. I mean, the efforts that you go through to simulate. I mean, they wrecked a car here for this like that, and it's sad when something like this happens. But the good that they've got here is that they're simulating it, so when something bad like this does happen, they're trained to try to minimize the loss of life. And we've got a car over here that's even worse. They simulate elevators over here. So when did you start doing a lot of this out here, Mike?
Dan, this has been a progression since 1988. Every year we've added things, and we're able to do this because the support of our board of trustees that allow us to do this, and especially the support of our firefighters, because we build most of this ourselves. Some of the buildings you see here and some of these props are built by our own firefighters, and we save a lot of money doing that, but it shows the dedication they have to this.
Yeah, it's amazing what they've done out here, and so when you tell me that you built most of this yourself, it's mind blowing that you're able to do it and not have to hire a lot of extra contractors. And that you've gotten all of this. You've gotten a school bus donated, and but this just shows we're ready and for what needs to be done. So You guys do a great job. Your job's never done. We talked a little bit before. I think we were talking, and you guys do a great job educating the community about certain things. Very good job in educating the community about heroin. I think we've done some shows, did a show in the past on that. A few other things. You're always talking. You guys have been. I'm not crying because of. I'm just happy to be here, but. Well, it's allergy season, folks. But anyway, we're just happy to be here today, and you guys do a phenomenal job. So, we'll let the chief close with what he thinks the fire department means to the community, and the community means to the fire department. If I can put you on the spot, Chief.
Thank you, Dan. Through proficiency in training, it's what sets us apart from other fire departments. If you look at what we do, and we are always, we feel at the forefront of technology and procedures. Every fire truck has paramedics. If a fire truck's going on the street and an EMS call comes up, that fire truck's the first one there. We've been doing that, and we were one of the first to do that in the state well over 12 years ago. But through technology and training, that's what makes us better, and it's going to take us into the future.
Very good. Well, we are happy, and I think we're all a little more appreciative, especially after seeing everything today, that you, as a fire protection district, are here to be part of the fabric of the community and keep it a little safer. So, thank you very much. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Lieutenant, and thank you very much, Chief. We want to thank Mayor Dan McMillan for having us on Orland Park TV and the trustees, and it's our honor to be a part of showcasing the Orland Fire Protection District. I'm Dan McMillan for 147th South and Orland Park TV. Thank you.